This video is on descriptive statistics. We're going to look at the measures of center. We're going to look at the ways to measure the center of data. There are three different ways we can measure the center of data, but we want to find the one number that summarizes the middle of the data collected. The three ways are mean, median, and mode. The mean is in order to find the mean, you want to add all of the numbers and then divide by how many there are. So this means you have the sum of all of the distances from each data point to the mean will always be 0. So the sum of all of the distances from each data point to the mean will always be 0. On a frequency graph, what this looks like is you have to actually determine what the values are to be able to add them up. So on this first bar graph, on this frequency graph, we have a value of 1, but we have it 3 times. So that would be a total of 3 values. On this next one, we have a value of 2, but we have it 10 times, so that would be a total value of 20. On the next one, we have a value of 3, but we have it 8 times, so that would be a total value of 24. Then we have a value of 4, but we have it 4 times, so that would be a total value of 16. On the next one, we have a value of 7, but 3 times, so that would be a total value of 21. We have a value of 8 2 times, so that would be a value of 16 total. We have a value of 11 3 times, so that would be a value of 33. We have a value of 12 2 times, which would be 24. And we have a value of 13 1 time, so that would just be 13. So if we want to find the mean, we have to add up all of the numbers and divide by how many there are. So we also have to determine how many we actually have. We have 3 in this case, 10 in this graph, 8, 4, 3, 2, 3, 2, and 1. So if we look at the mean, we need to add up all the numbers. So we'll have 3 plus 20 plus 24 plus 16 plus 21 plus 16 plus 33 plus 24 plus 13. That's going to give us a total of 170. Then we divide by how many we actually have. So we have 3 in this section plus 10 plus 8 plus 4 plus 3 plus 2 plus 3 plus 2 plus 1. We have a total of 36 numbers. We have a total value of 170. So our mean would be approximately 4 7200ths. So that means that if we're in the 4 7200ths range, so it would be about 4, this means that the area of 4 would be our balance point. So we have it about the middle of our graph, even though it looks like there's more data on the left than there is on the right. 4 would be about in the middle of the entire amount of data. Now, is the mean affected by outliers? Outliers are values that lie outside of the norm, so it could pull them up or pull them down. It's data that's not in the general area of where all the rest of the data is. The mean is affected by outliers, because outliers pull the mean most. So we would call this non-resistant to outliers. Non-resistant means that it is affected by it. Most commonly, if you think about test scores, students might have very high test scores, and then one student might have a very low test scores, which pulls that mean down a lot. So the mean is affected most by those test scores because we're adding the values. So a bunch of hundreds, and then I add a 0 to it, but I divide, I'm going to be using that 0 as part of the average. So I end up dividing by a bigger number, but I have less of the value. So the outliers can pull it down, or it can pull the mean up. For the median, to find the median, we write the numbers in order from least to greatest and choose the number in the middle, the exact middle. So if the median falls between two numbers, meaning that we don't have an exact middle, you have to find the mean of those two numbers. So whatever those two numbers end up being between, the median will be between those two numbers. On a frequency graph, the way we look at this is we start from the front and we start from the back. We want to make sure that we have the same numbers on each side. So I would start with the bottom, which is 1, and then I would start with the next one at the 13. So then I just keep moving forward, and then on the other end, I start from the top and work my way down. So I would keep working my way up on the front end and work my way down on the back end. And I just want to keep counting to keep them the same amount. So I've already done 4 on the left and 4 on the right, and I keep moving. Left, right, left, right. And we keep going until we find where the two values meet. And again, from the left, we go from the bottom up, and on the right-hand side, from the bigger numbers, we go from the top down. And I keep using the same markings as I move until we find where the two values will meet. When we get to that location, we'll have the median, because we want the exact middle. So again, we have to start from the bottom on the left-hand side, and we start from the top on the right-hand side as we keep going. And I accidentally changed my symbols down here. And I keep going until I finally come to a middle ground. So the middle ground is right where I have between the blue and the pink. And we can see that the median is in this third column. So our median is equal to 3. Now there are, in the blue, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And then on the pink, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. There are 18 data points on each side. And they went in increasing order. So 1, 2, 3, then we had this next value, and we kept going up. So if we started from the back, we had to go down in value so that we would hit the middle. We have the same number of data points on each side, which is what we need. Because we didn't have an exact number where they both met at, that tells us that 3, this is still the median because it's in this section. So the average, or the mean of 3 and 3 would give us 6 divided by 2, which would give us 3 again. So because it didn't have the exact middle, so the median actually falls between two numbers, because we have the exact same number of data points on each side, or there are 18 on each side. So the question is the median affected by outliers? The median is affected by outliers, but not as much. It can still be affected because it can still kind of pull it up, but outliers don't pull the median down as much as the mean. So we can say the outliers don't pull the median down or up as much as the mean. What this means is that if the mean was non-resistant to outliers, then the median would be resistant to outliers because it's not as affected from the outliers. The last way we can measure the center or the middle of the data is the mode. The mode is the value that occurs the most often in a data set. Not all data sets have a mode, and some have more than one mode. So what we look for on a frequency graph is the one part of the graph that happens the most. So this part of the graph happens 3 times, this one happens 10 times, 8 times, 4, 3, 8, 11, 3, 2, 3, 2, and 1. The one that happens the most is the value of 2. There are 10 of these. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These happen, so the 1s happen 3 times, the 2s happen 10 times, the 3s happen 8 times, the 4s happen 4 times, 7s happen 3, 8 happens twice, 11 happens 3 times, 12 happens twice, and 13 only happens once. So in this case, the mode is equal to 2 because it has the highest point on the bar. So we could say that it's the highest point, or it's technically the highest bar on our frequency graph. So is the mode affected by outliers? Just like the median, it is not affected by outliers as much. It can still be affected by it, but it doesn't happen nearly as often, and it won't pull it up or down nearly as much. So we could say that the mode is usually resistant to outliers. So the 3 ways we can measure the center are the mean, the median, and the mode. The mean, most people know as add them all up and divide by how many you have. The median is the exact middle. These are generally resistant to outliers. They are not affected by the outliers as much. So the median is generally a good way of measuring grades in test scores. The mean can be useful when you are measuring different data. So it all depends on what type of data we're looking at to know if we should use the mean, the median, or the mode. But all 3 of these are ways of measuring the center.